everybody to turn mics off until only when you're speaking, because we do want a nice crisp recording. And don't worry, Cats and Fran, if there's any problem with the speakeasy and it doesn't match perfectly, just go with it and add whatever you choose, because we just want everybody to know how great the music library is today.
Val, do you have photographs handy of the library?
I've got photographs right in our slides. We have photographs of, yes,
Great.
we're all good to go. And Marley, we will have time at the end. You will be able to, say anything you want about the library. So be thinking, maybe jot some notes, things during it.
Notes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you don't. Yeah, okay.
Not about the library.
Okay, great.
I'm done with notes for this conference.
All right, let's begin. It's time for our presentation for the Virtual World's Best Practices in Education Conference 2023. Welcome, everyone, to Metaverse Libraries, CVL Marley Milena Music Library, a real music library for avatars. I'm Valerie Hill, Valibrarian in Virtual Worlds, and I serve as the director of the Community Virtual Library here in Second Life. Our parent organization is Metaverse Libraries, still affiliated with New Media Arts, which is our foundation. I'll put the website here in the local chat, along with the website for the music library. Today, we will share a brief history of our music library. The library is located on Cookie at the Community Virtual Library and had a grand opening in April 2019. Currently, as you see on this slide, if you zoom in, the library hosts monthly concerts with live musicians who share their original music. We have a concert next month, which will be a post-conference immersive experience. More on that later in the presentation. We believe that music plays a key role as the background track of our lives. I'm happy today to introduce our speakers, Catseye and Fran, as they will share about this library project and the exciting future goals here in Second Life at the beautiful CVL Marley Milena Music Library. So Catseye, I'll turn the mic over to you. Be sure to turn your mic on, Cats.
Can you hear me?
We heard you a second ago. Yes.
Okay. All righty. Well, back to my beginning. My legacy name in Second Life is Catseye Tennen. My username is Catseye, and everyone calls me Cats. I somehow backed into being assistant director of the Marley Milena Music Library, but I'm proud to be a part of this beautiful library, and I'll tell you why. As a child, I was exposed to musicians my parents liked, including many of their friends. The music was mostly classical and the more cerebral forms of jazz and folk music. My parents were from Vienna, after all. My older friends and relations introduced me to the 1950s brand of rock and roll, much to my parents' chagrin. But I'd also developed the dangerous habit of going to the library. I discovered their listening rooms. You could explore their music collection and pick out an album or 45 and go into a windowless, soundproof room and listen to it. The names were interesting, so I picked Vic Spiderbeck, Jelly Roll Morton, and interesting sounding songs of all kinds. I listened to blues, Son House, Howlin' Wolf, Willie Dixon, modern jazz and folk, Josh White, Pete Seeger, you can name them all. My world changed. We want to recreate this experience of discovery, those moments of epiphany and falling in love that prowling through library collections allows. We don't have to imitate the windowless soundproof rooms, but more on that later. We can take advantage of the tools and the freedom of the virtual world and create a space that celebrates creativity and unique achievements. We also want to give our musicians a place to share their work and support them in reaching out to Second Life music lovers. We want them to be able to meet with each other and create their own programs and space within the library to explore their creative processes with each other and celebrate their talents as they will see fit. We want to support our patrons with the freedom to explore our collections and discover artists for themselves that they may never have found just following their friends to their favorite venues or by searching through the events calendars. They can now listen to sample works of a number of different musicians who are composers and songwriters and decide what they want, to actually spend some hours going to see them live virtually. And you can see the visitors. We had to do a lot of planning and infrastructure building. We also had to come up with stating our mission and figuring out how best to achieve that mission. We needed methods for finding, vetting, and collecting the works of the original musicians in Second Life. We had to figure out the fairest, most inclusive ways to nominate, evaluate, and install these musicians in our collection. The technical and the intellectual property challenges had to be explored and addressed. They are a little different in music, I think, than from books. The Community Virtual Library commissioned Dawn Graymist, designer and builder, to build and furnish a space that reflected the values of the library and provided the kind of inspirational space we were looking for. As you see from the slide, and I hope you visit to see it in person, she succeeded beyond our wildest dreams. Dawn created a wondrous space where creativity and community centered on music could flourish. We divided up the space in our crystalline palace. We provided entertainment space on the first floor in a coffee house environment. And this is the second floor. On the second floor, we present the music, including the beautiful listening pods, which I hope you'll see later, videos, and written forms of the collection pieces, whether scores, chords, cheat sheets, lyrics, whatever the musician wishes to offer the library patron. There is also a media on a prim for videos. There will be links to some of the artists' web pages or music pages, whatever they provide. The loft at the top provides space for meetings, classes, and gatherings of musicians. This will be their space to use as they see fit. We'll also use it for administrative meetings because it's really comfortable and cozy. So, Elise Dunavant-Jones has created a nomination form that allows the nominating avatar to give as much information on the musician as they know, including why they are nominating them for inclusion in the library. One of the most important things we want to know is contact information if known. It's also useful to provide a way for our selection committee to hear their work, whether it's by attending a Second Life performance or visiting an online site. We have a sign up in the library that links to the nominating page, and I will also provide that link at the end of the presentation. We stipulate that the musician must have original music in his or her repertoire and has made an impact on Second Life music or has been impacted by it. I know everybody has their favorites, so if you've got a favorite and they're original, go on over and nominate them. And we will abide by library protocols. We'll only be offering original compositions. We plan to offer Creative Commons licenses to each participating musician, whether they've already protected themselves in a number of ways or not. This will also protect the library. We will abide by the musicians' wishes in these matters, but they are responsible for their copyright choices and their TOS. Many Second Life musicians I have spoken to say they're not in it for the money and are not particularly interested in protecting their work. The library, however, is interested in protecting their work, and that's where Creative Commons licenses come in. The musician will decide what kind of CC license they use and what terms of service they want to include with their work. And outside, we have two lovely areas to gather, one with book seating and one with musical notes. Here we hold workshops, meetings, and events. Milena, for whom the library is named, is the creator of SimMods, a creative arts-based use of Second Life building freedom to express and communicate all kinds of thoughts, feelings, and ideas. There's a SimMod sculpture that was built collectively by the library opening attendees. As the name indicates, musicians inspire artists, builders. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a part. Marley's group, Octagon Creative Exploration, also produces an event called Improv, Musicians and Artists. It's kind of turned into my baby. As the name indicates, musicians inspire artists and builders to create real-time, short, improvisational builds, and then it is reversed and the artist inspires the musician. The audience provides spoken word expressing their reaction to the art and music. We're considering holding similar programs in this outdoor space. In fact, we're open to almost any kind of creative, artistic, and musical expression. We want to be supporting all kinds of arts. There will be links to information about these programs shared at the end of this presentation. And if you wish to find out more about them, this kind of preparation has taken a lot of time, but we have solved most of the issues we ran into along the way. Francisco Koolhoven, our tech consultant, fix-it man, really the Gandalf-like wizard to this whole endeavor, will explain how we have done it, translated our goals and dreams into a library not bound by building or space conventions. We can escape windowless, soundproof rooms. We can connect with anywhere on the internet. We can dance in the air. We can talk in IM. Wait a minute. I lost my space, please. So Fran will tell us about the tech support of the music library. Over to you, Fran.
Thanks, Cats. Okay, let me get myself up here. And let me see where. Okay, we got the slide up. All right, good. Well, welcome everybody. Yeah, my name is Francisco Koolhoven. I just go by Fran. I work at Whole Brain Health, and I'm providing whatever technical support is needed for this library. There's a lot of things that have to be considered to create a virtual music library such as this. We're having to tackle the many technical requirements needed to both store data and to present its contents to the end user in a meaningful way. As a starting point, we focused on the original piano compositions of Neela Miller, or Milena in Second Life. She has provided us with both MP4 audio files for compositions, as well as musical scores in PDF format. To allow visitors to listen to her works in a unique and memorable way, I created a series of listening pods on the second floor of the library. And I'm going to res one out here for you to see. Here we go. And they make use of the Second Life experience feature to provide a seamless user experience, or hopefully seamless. After the visitor chooses one of Marley's compositions, they're then given a HUD, which is automatically attached to them, and they are automatically seated inside of this pod, one of these pods. And the HUD then utilizes media on a prim or MOAP to play the music for the visitor. This experience it should begin playing shortly after being seated. They can then listen in a meditative way with everything blocked from view except for the inside of the pod that they're in. Now this is the way it's supposed to work. And we have run into issues where the music doesn't always start right away. I think it's just a problem with media on a prim. That can hamper the experience somewhat. Clicking on the HUD usually will fix it. And I should note that once the visitor stands, just clicks the stand button, the pod will disappear and the music stops. So they can continue it for as long as they want, or they can cut it short. And they can listen to an entire album at a time rather than just one song if they want. Now we hope to expand the use of the listening pods to other artists. However, because of differing licensing issues, we may not be able to use them in all cases. We'll address this as we add more original artists to the library. Just as a physical library keeps track of who checks out books, it will be important for us to keep statistics on the works being requested. For now, we've just set up an email system of notifications to staff members whenever someone requests a work or accesses a musical score. And this is kind of a stopgap thing. We will eventually develop this into a database or something similar to store these statistics and make them easier to analyze. And I do want to make it clear that we are not and never intend to keep track of what individual avatars request. Our goal is not to target individual listening tastes. We're just trying to keep track of counts on how often certain works are requested, so that we'll know how well it's being used. As we mentioned earlier, we try to have a Musician of the Month concert. I think we've mentioned it. If not, I'm mentioning it now. We try to have a Musician of the Month concert each month to bring in original musicians from different genres. And hopefully some of these will become part of the library. That's part of what we are anticipating or hoping. We're currently recording and archiving these concerts, which are being stored on a YouTube playlist maintained as part of the Virtual Worlds Education Consortium. This playlist also contains other related videos, such as a special performance of Neil Miller's piano vignettes. And I'd like to give a particular thanks to Dana Enyo for recording and posting many of our monthly concerts. All of the YouTube videos will eventually be available for viewing on our in-world Machinima viewer on the second floor of the library, which is currently set up only for the piano vignettes previously mentioned, but it's one of many technologies we plan to utilize as we go forward. And that's about all I'm going to cover today, so I just hope that will give you a brief idea of what we're doing, and we're going to be learning as we go. So I guess I'm done with my portion. Take it back to you, Val.
Thank you so much, Fran. And I'm really glad that Fran mentioned when he was talking about the pods that there's a lot of ongoing tech development behind the scenes. It's not set in stone. This is an evolving real music library. The second thing I'm glad that Fran mentioned was privacy. You know, in all libraries, we are concerned about privacy, and we don't want to point out individuals what music they want to listen to is their business. But it's a balance between, taking the statistics so that we can learn and grow and support the patrons, and also providing them with privacy. We wanted to also say that as part of the Virtual World's Best Practices in Education Conference 2023, we will have a post-conference music experience at the CVL Marley Milena Music Library, and you can see that on the calendar. It will be on April 15th at 1 p.m. Now, our monthly concerts are normally held on the fourth Saturday of each month. But this one is a part of the conference, so it will be 15th. I do have a photo here that Kat's provided of one of our musicians of the month, both in Second Life and in the physical world, F&J. You can zoom in and see that. And I think it's so interesting to have a concert in Second Life where we're all together in a space listening to the music. Just like we would be if we were in the physical world. And I think it would be interesting to hear from the musicians how they feel about that, because so often we can't get to the physical world concerts. Now, when Fran mentioned our music playlist, I'll put that here in the local chat so that you can bookmark it. Since the Community Virtual Library is the support library for the Virtual Worlds Education Consortium, that YouTube channel has been updated to VWE Consortium, just like our other social media links. CVL can link your educational videos and playlists to this channel because that will help archive and promote high-quality learning across the metaverse. So you can contact VWEC or me later if you have videos that you'd like to also archive on our YouTube channel. And on our closing slide here, and we have more that we'd like to add. We are combining our different thoughts all into one presentation here for the conference, but we do have more we want to add, and we're going to open up for questions. But first, I wanted to say that you can contact me about either Metaverse Libraries, our parent charity foundation or organization, CVL, or the Virtual Worlds Education Consortium, because we're all working together to help avatars navigate the metaverse. You can also feel free to reach out to us by contacting Catseye if you know musicians that you'd like to nominate, or if this sounds exciting to you and you'd like to be part of this project in any way. And so I'm going to open up for questions, but I want to ask you a couple questions first to stimulate a conversation. And I know Catseye has more to say about our upcoming concert. You saw on the slides this beautiful 3-story library, the downstairs being the place for the concerts, the second floor being the actual library materials, the listening pods. We want to grow a lot of the music there. And the third floor being the beautiful loft where we meet monthly. You could join the team should you want to be part of this. And we do want to, as Fran mentioned, think about more cultural arts in the future that could be added to this library. So, Katz, did you have anything to add as we open this up for more questions, feedback, or comments?
Remember to turn on my microphone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh. Well, we did. Cats, we're not hearing you if you're speaking.
Let me try that again. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. I didn't look at the slides as I was trying to keep my place. Did we show the slide with the links and the URLs that I wanted to share with the audience? They should be able to go to Marley Milena's site and be able to travel to the library and nominate artists. And I also wanted to give our contact information. I don't know if you saw it, but I did type my email into this chat, and I'm hoping that if you have any suggestions or questions, that you can contact me there the easiest. My IMs get capped, so don't bother with them. And there were too many to have them go to my email. So email's the actual best way to let me know or ask me questions, and then a note card will also usually reach me. There you go. That's what I wanted to share. And I have Marley's website. Do you have that, Fran? You usually can find things faster.
I'll put it in chat right now.
Thank you. And also our website. That's another link. So I hope you guys will take advantage, and I know that I love spending time in that library. I think that's one of the most beautiful buildings. I can't thank Dawn enough. We also, I should mention that 4 people have volunteered to be part of our selection committee, and that's Meg's Candles and Island Granville, Callie Calaspigian, and I'm leaving somebody out and I can't remember. But there's 4. We could use another one. So if you are eclectic in your tastes or know a lot about one genre even, you know, feel free to nominate yourself. We have a nominating form for that as well. And if we have enough for our selection committee, I think 5 is probably the most, you can still be a consultant. You can use all the help we can get because there are so many talented original musicians in Second Life. I used to think I knew most of them. I haven't scratched the surface in finding out since I've been on here. So help. Feel free to help. Thank you. Turning off my mic.
Thank you, Cats. And yes, we'll get the form for the nomination form in the chat in just a moment. I wanted to also ask all of you here if you've been to any of these music concerts or other music concerts in Second Life, and how you feel about being at a live music concert. Once you're used to, you know, your avatar being a representation of yourself, these can be a very real feeling events. And so, you know, feel free in chat or in voice to talk about what you think about these live events in the virtual world.
Hi, this is Buffy. So, yeah, the music I think is one of the highlights of being in Second Life. And I remember well my first experience of listening to the music and being in a concert. And I have a niece who's a rock star, so I go to all her concerts in real life. And when I was in this concert for the first time, this event, it just felt like I was in the same audience. And even someone gave me a lighter, I remember, that we held up, and it was a beautiful experience, and it just led me to want to listen to more in Second Life. And I've been to the library many times with Marley and events and Val and Cats and Fran, and what a wonderful job you're doing. And I just want to thank you for bringing organization to all the music that's in our lives, and as well in Second Life. So thanks for that. Okay, That's it. Bye.
Thank you, Buffy. Yes, I agree. It's like when your avatar is dancing and you realize that this is live and you're all there together, it can be a great experience. That, of course, it's great to be in the physical world, but the advantage is you don't have to travel. It's an amazing experience. Anybody else?
Yeah, I recognize a lot of your faces from our concerts.
I'd like to just say a little bit about how this all got started and why the heck this library is named after me. Which it's a little embarrassing, but it's also a point of pride. So my music background is very similar to Kat's. I was, just exposed to all of the great folk, jazz, classical, and so on music from an early age. And I went to the High School of Music and Art. So I was equally enamored, really, of music, art, theater, writing, dance, and I ended up like doing all of them and realizing that what was fascinating me was the whole creative process, however it manifests. Now, I got to know Val some years ago and just loved the community virtual library area and all the things that she was doing there. And I realized that what was missing was a music library, because I had spent a lot of my time as a young person at a music library in New York City, where I was collecting ballads and all kinds of music from the British Isles, which, I was a singer and a songwriter for a while, and I performed a lot of that stuff at festivals. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if there were a music library here that showcased the original music that people were creating and performing here. And as soon as I mentioned it to Val, she said, "Oh yes, that's a great idea," and that's how we got going. I also think that the music library building that Dawn made is it's the most beautiful building I've ever seen in Second Life. And of course, I haven't been everywhere, but I think it's an absolutely gorgeous place. So I love being there. Now, the other thing that was not mentioned that, I really want to say is I hope it provides inspiration. Maybe you'll start to write your own songs or think about the whole aspect of composing and creating original music, or bring back some of the music that you were playing early on and seeing what you can do with it, because you can riff off of things that you already know and make them your own. So the whole idea for me is to inspire people to get more deeply into their own music experience and see what they can do with that. There's a lot more I could say, but I think I should stop now.
Thank you, Marley. And you always light a fire under people to get their creative idea going. I love that. And I saw a question in the chat that we didn't address yet from Electra. You mentioned other media. So were you thinking of adding a wing for artists and writers, poets? That's a great idea. And I want to say that, over on Cookie, we have a huge poetry building that's been going on for many years, the Short Poetry Workshop building. A lot of writers are in the community over on Cookie. And what I'd like to do is try to bring these people in to join the Virtual Worlds Education Consortium. People don't know they're out there. There are a lot of educational communities of writers and artists and creative people that nobody knows about. If they were to join the consortium, then we can promote their events and people can meet others who share their creative interests. So perhaps this music library can be an example of that. And one thing that I love is at the music concerts, a lot of people outside of our small educational communities come, and we make friends with people that that never would have come, and they say, is this a real library? You know, and I'm always surprised that they don't know that there's a real library in Second Life. So I love that question, Electra. We could build on this, and it's difficult to do it alone. I mean, I could ask Fran now, you know, oh, how could we do that technically? How about you build us a wing and we bring it? You know, Fran can't do it all alone. Cats can't do it all alone. None of us can, but together we can think of the idea, get the builder like Dawn to help expand, and it's sort of a working thing together. So that is a great idea, Electra. I'd love to see that happen. Any other questions or comments? I do notice in the chat that Marley's saying there's a Linden Spotlight interview. You know, without Midori Linden and the support we've got from Second Life, the VWEC would not really have happened. We've all been struggling. Some of us have been here over 15 years with these great ideas of how, you know, the metaverse could grow for education, and we kept spinning our wheels. But because of the consortium and because of Midori and Second Life support, and Marley saying Strawberry Linden put it out there, this is getting the word out. This is a shot at moving forward across the metaverse that we have not had before. And that's very exciting. And we could add the arts and music to that that growth that we're feeling right now. So if you know other musicians, artists that would like to play a role in this, we would welcome them to join us so that we can help promote the work that they're doing. I know Catseye mentioned a lot about the, you know, it being a real library and being, you know, copyright and all the things that we need to address in the future. We need experts to help us with that too. Here we are at a high quality educational conference, and we need to be role models about how the metaverse can have high quality, serious education as well as have fun.
You know, Val, I think also actually, Fran, we should make clear that when, like a regular library, with one difference, you can actually take out scores right now of my music that's on the second floor. Like if you're a pianist and you hear a piece that you really like, there's a score for it, and you can take a copy of it so that you can go, you know, play it on your own piano. But you don't have to return it. That's a big difference between our library and other libraries.
Very true. Yes, I mentioned the scores, but I didn't stress that they're available right now, that everybody can. It's a series of books in one of the shelves just when you come up to the top of the second floor of the library, and you can click on any of those to get a copy of the
Yeah, right where the pods are.
right, same place you would click to use the pods, right?
You know, and we're hoping that for instance, songwriters will have copies of their songs there that people can then take and learn. You know, that'll have scores and lyrics. It'll just be great when we have a lot of different kinds of music there for people to experience.
Yeah. I do want to say, I hope you guys will come to the immersive experience. Our musicians of the month are usually at the end of the month, the fourth Saturday, or near the end of the month on 5-week months. But we're moving ours to April 15th, I think it is. I'm checking with you at 1 o'clock. And it will be F&J, and I can't imagine that most of you haven't heard them or heard of them. They've been here forever almost. And they've been playing together forever almost because they met as schoolboys. Um, and they are an absolutely amazing duo. I believe now J-Cat writes most of their music, but uh, Froggy contributes musical changes and stuff like that. They're a pair, and so I hope you can come. It's J-Cat Nico and Froggy Marlowe, and Froggy doesn't appear as a frog anymore so much. He's changed his avatar into a human with feet, bare feet. Um, so tell your friends, and I hope you can make it. That's going to be a really nice show. So.
Thanks, Katz. And did you see there was a question from Buffy? Do you help musicians who are new to Second Life get set up to perform, or prefer they come knowing what to do? Katz, what do you think about that?
Well, if I can't help them, if I don't know the answer to something, I know people who do. So one of the things I have done is turn people on to certain resources. There's a number of resources for beginning musicians in Second Life. My daughter is a musician in real life, and she almost came into Second Life during the COVID thing, but then she started getting jobs again, so she stopped. But I had hooked her up with a musician that knew just about everything about streaming the kind of music she makes. So you do have to match the musician up with the right help, the right resources. But yes, we're very open to helping new musicians. I have recently found that some of the new musicians are absolutely awesome and creative and original and really wonderful. And they're brand new, and they're still working out the whole stream system and the whole how do I, publicize, etc. So, some of them have managers, and some of them would rather die than have a manager. So, so, and the managers are pretty good about working with us. I mean, we're not rich, and sometimes but most of the musicians want to play for us, so we've been lucky with that, because they've taken down their fees greatly, and usually my experience a lot of times when you are trying to help musicians and working on creative, on a nonprofit kind of basis, our musicians here in Second Life are incredibly generous, and so even when you pay them, they put most of it back into your tip jar when they leave. So it's like a circle going around. We pay them, they pay us, we pay them, they pay us. It works. So, and I found that in a lot of venues.
I would imagine, Katz, that both you and Fran, as we're wanting to get more people to help with the library, because that's the way that it will grow, that we might even want more tech helpers that can help the musicians learn the skills and learn how to stream and all of that. If we had more people on the team,
I agree. Yeah. That would be great.
Yeah, I think the dream. What is it? The Dream Steam. What are they called? Ed Lowell's group. They do a lot of that. They do a lot of helping, and but then the people who have really high-end electronics, sometimes it's better to find somebody who's really up on that. And one of our musicians is actually just such a person. But if you have that kind of expertise or know someone who does, definitely we could use all the help we can get.
And having those their music on our playlist, that gives them a video. That's a win-win for us and for the musician.
Yeah, you mentioned Dana Enyo, who does absolutely wonderful video work and has filmed many of our Musicians of the Month productions. So yeah, it's a really good thing for us and the musician.
And I'll mention one thing that's really kind of cool and different about being in a Second Life music experience that you can't do in the physical world. You can be dancing, listening to this great music, but you also get the benefit of IM, that you can IM people. It's kind of like going up and whispering in someone's ear during the physical event. I just find that to be an amazing tool.
Yeah, you can share your experience without interrupting the musician, which is really nice. Or you know.
Yes, and we always turn the voice off right after Catseye introduces so that everyone enjoys that experience, just the music. Yes, Edith makes a good point about when your avatar can dance, and it really reminds me of Gentle Heron and Virtual Ability. People who have some physical limitations, your avatar doesn't. And it can be such an exhilarating experience to be able, I mean, I wish I could dance like my avatar.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had another question about expenses and covering your sim cost and buying things to decorate. And so how do you do that? Do you collect donations or do you have some way of
Yes.
covering that?
Yes, for as far as donations, and this may be revisited in the future if we grow and we would have more expense. For now, we have a budget through CVO and it's not a huge amount because things are not that costly. That's a huge advantage of a the Second Life music concert as opposed to one in the physical world. The cost is extraordinary, but we do decorate for the season or for the style of the music. And we pay our musicians, but we also have a donation there right in the music library for people to donate. And we'd like to expand on that as we grow.
Hey, thanks, Val.
Another thing I'd like to mention is the cross-referencing to other groups. Like Fran and I are in a contra dance group here in Second Life. Wonderful group that meets a couple of times a week at the folk dance center, and we've now been invited to put up a poster there about the music library. So as you go around to other kinds of music events, you might mention to whoever the convener is that there is a music library so that we get the word out to other music groups about its existence and, invite people to come participate.
I think I mentioned that some of these musicians have a lot of fans in Second Life. And so sometimes when I send out the group notices, I think, oh, I hope we get a good turnout. They bring their fans, which is win-win for all of us because it exposes them to education in virtual worlds. And it, gives us a broader audience of these wonderful musicians.
Yeah, I've been humbled in a way since I've started working at this library that it's how vast Second Life is, how varied. You find your niche as an avatar eventually, and you kind of get settled into certain patterns. And I have at least 4 jobs, and I end up, coming in, working, and get distracted and go partying a little bit, but it's mostly people I already know, people who invite me to places that I already go. And so I realized how much bigger the world is than any of our niches that we get comfortable in. And I think the music library will have the effect of sending inroads into lots of different areas of Second Life that it would be so easy to never know existed because it's hard, unless you spend your time exploring like you did when you were a baby avatar, you you get out of touch with just how vast it is. Edith, you are so right.
Also, we're still at the beginning of what's possible with this. I mean, it's like with the Education Consortium. It's a dynamic process. It keeps growing. I have a fantasy, like there are certain people like Pookie Amsterdam who's writing original musical theater that uses both avatars and real people. I mean, that we could have performances that combine music with other kinds of art forms, you know, as part of our what we have to offer the audiences in Second Life. There are so many ways, and I know, Val, you've always been interested in incorporating other arts into the library, and so I think that that as we go along, there'll be a lot of new possible ways of bringing original material that is kind of cross-referenced material into the music library.
Thank you, Marley. There she goes again with her creative ideas that are just always out there over the top, you know, spurring us all forward. And I see that our time is just about up, but I do want to mention that the way that these kind of dreams and programs and creative ideas can succeed is not by twisting avatar arms and saying, will you please help us with this? But it's by saying, look what great things you're doing. Do you want to join us? Do what you love and what you're passionate about, but share it together. And that way we can promote outside of Second Life the great possibilities of doing this in a virtual world. So if you know people who share any of these artistic and creative ideas and want to partner with us, it's a win-win for everybody. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the day, the rest of the conference, and thanks so much for coming. Thanks, Fran and Katz.